Hello, Internet. I'm Matt.
And I'm Monster Punter.
And this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. How are we doing this week?
Doing fine. Just trying to beat some of the games that I have and get through what I have so that to get to this fall, because 2023 is bonkers with their releases. It'll go down as one of the, if not the best years of this generation.
Yeah. Well, and if last week's showcase for Xbox was anything, it's going to be a great 2024 also.
Yeah, at least for Xbox. It's finally coming out with those games that they've been buying all those studios for.
Well, I think a lot of those games also were going to be multi-platform, so... I did hear that the Persona 3 Remastered and Persona 5 Tactica were going to be multi-platform.
Sure, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, game-wise, you said you've been playing what?
Been playing the Trails series still. Then played more Street Fighter 6. And, of course, Monster Hunter. Those are the big three right now, trying to get knocked out. Probably be playing some Diablo this next week. And, of course, Final Fantasy when it drops on Thursday.
Goodness. Busy week. Speaking of which, since it was a busy week, happy Father's Day to every father of every kind in our audience. You know, for parents or not for parents.
I don't count fur parents.
I know, but people at stores too, and they try to make me feel better, but whatever.
You want to know why they count fur parents at stores? They're trying to sell you something.
It was the greeter at Walmart.
Yeah, exactly.
She won't try to sell me nothing.
Walmart's set up to make you buy stuff. That's all it is for.
Well, either way, happy Father's Day, y'all. Hope you had a good one. As for what I got to play this week, I played a game called Escape Academy, and it's about, surprise, an academy that teaches you how to become a master hacker or a master thief or whatever. That's the storyline. But it's all these different escape room puzzles that are kind of set up. It was really good. It was really good.
Okay.
Had a great time with that one. There's a DLC, but I don't know if I'll buy it. Just because I'm playing everything on Game Pass or PS Plus if I can right now, because money is money and I don't have a lot of it. So, but I played that. I played a game. I saw someone try to play this one before, and I wanted to get into it and play it. It's like Hard Space Shipbreakers.
Never heard of it.
So basically the whole idea is you're in the future, you are living in space, and your job is to break down decommissioned spaceships.
Okay.
All right. So, but you have to use your laser cutter, cut off the pieces, and you got to process what gets processed, what gets melted down, what gets put in storage, that kind of stuff. Cool concept. It was actually kind of fun.
So they're selling you work?
Yeah.
But
here's the problem. The controls are... I'm sorry, the movement controls. I gotta be specific here. The movement controls are abysmal. I don't know why space games gotta be like, oh, you float and you have propulsion. It's a video game. Just let me move where I want to move and cut the stuff I want to cut and do the stuff I want to do and just move on. Why has it got to be so floaty? And it was aggravating. So I didn't play it.
Because space, dude.
Yeah, no. Because space, dude, is a bad answer.
Just saying.
Same with because it's underwater, dude. It's a video game. Anyhow, so I quickly abandoned that one. And then I picked up another one I'm kind of going through still called Garden Story. And it's like Zelda meets Farm Sim meets fruits and vegetables. Like your fruits and vegetable people. And it
sounds like a great candidate for me to completely ignore.
Yeah, I know you would. But it's actually kind of fun. So, beyond that, nothing else game-wise. But we do need to talk about... because we didn't talk about last week, because last week was the whole showcase. We needed to focus on that.
Showcase.
But I had asked you guys a question in the and asked you to put your comments in a couple weeks ago. And someone has responded. And I want to give them due time to talk about our subject. And it was darkness in video games. How dark is too dark?
Mm-hmm.
And again, previous responder, that one dude, 777. Most of the time, darkness in games doesn't really bother me, but I do find it annoying most of the time. Some examples I can think of is Pokemon Dark Caves and getting blindsided by a trainer in the dark, or if I'm underground in Minecraft and I get shot by a skeleton I don't see in the dark. Minecraft can quickly become a horror game if you don't have the torches to light up a cave. Because you are just hearing the monsters in the dark, and then all of a sudden you do get shot by an arrow, and it's terrifying. But
I'm sorry, I can't get,
Yeah, I know.
It's... I don't know.
But so now for your response to the question, how dark is too dark for a game for you to play it and enjoy it?
The only time I really get mad about the darkness of a game itself, is when it is prohibitively, how do I put it, detrimental to the gameplay.
Yes.
I find myself the vast majority of the time not having any problem with it. You have much more problem with it than I do.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think for horror games, it's wholly appropriate to be in there. So...
Inappropriate or appropriate?
Appropriate.
See, I think it depends. I think you can have a good horror game without it being too dark. I think it's possible. I think at that point, you're just trying to rely on jump scares to make your game scary.
No, that's not that. It's the unknown. What is coming after me? Sure, jump scares are a thing, but how many horror games are done in a bright color anime-like style?
That's what would make them amazing. I think if it'd be such a difference from the norm.
Yeah,
and again, so my personal experience with it is kind of the same way. Is if it's detrimental to the gameplay, but at the same time, if you make a game and you make this world and you map it out and you draw everything, and then the lighting guy comes and makes sure that nobody can see what you did, I find that frustrating. If you made something, I want to see it. Stop trying to hide it.
Then again, a lot of this also depends on your TV and the performance of your TV. You can get something that's called the black crush, where the blacks are crushing detail that should be there, but because your TV is not capable of displaying the black level fidelity, the difference very well, you can get black crush. Or if you have your TV set to be too low anyway, you can get black crush. And so when they give you those sliders to adjust your darks and everything, take advantage of those and actually do those. Or if you don't want, you can make your darks super bright, but then everything looks washed out.
Well, and that's the problem. Is a lot of games I've seen have either been the way they were initially set up, too dark for the quote unquote mid level, and then when you try to make it so you can see what's going on, the game's all washed out, or it's just you deal with darkness and not being able to see what's going on, and that's just not fun to me.
Well, that whole slider is there and its intent is to make it so the art assets, the way that as they intend them to be displayed, are displayed. And so what you might think is too dark to the person who designed that game, that is actually what they wanted to have displayed. So,
but again, I feel like that's just weird. If you're having here's a black circle on a black square, it's one shade higher. That's your art choice. I don't see how that's designed. I feel like that's just you slapping together assets and not caring about the final product.
We will agree to disagree on this one.
I know. It's nothing new. Do you have a question you'd like to ask?
Not particularly right now. I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it. I need to think about it.
Well, then I'll just come up with another random one.
Okay.
Oh, here's one. Here's one I know we will definitely disagree on, and people will definitely want to tune into the next episode.
Actually...
Oh, you do have one.
Actually, I do have one.
Okay. Well, I have one too, but do you want me to do mine, or do you want to save it? I'll save it. Okay, I'll save mine for the next episode.
Okay. Do you avoid media for a game before it's released?
Ooh. That's a good question. Do you avoid the media? Do you avoid the hype? Or lack of hype?
Before it's released.
Do you watch trailers? Or do you skip them?
Oh, I also forgot to mention a little bit in our games that we played. I played the Final Fantasy 16 demo. I haven't played through a ton of it, but the parts that I did play through, it's a beautiful game so far. I played on the 30 FPS. Crucify me as much as you want, people. I played on the fidelity mode, and you know what? Looked good. And seemed to run okay to me in my eyes. Maybe I'm not as discerning as some people, but everything was okay as far as I could tell right now.
Awesome.
And I plan to finish the demo before the game comes out, which leads right into the fact that there's going to be a day one patch, right?
Yeah, I didn't fully re-up on that one, but there is a day one patch coming for Final Fantasy 16 already.
I'm really tired of the day one patches, personally.
Yeah, I mean,
I want a complete game in the box when it's sold. Maybe I'm super old school like that because I still like my physical media, but it's frustrating that unless you have an internet connection, you can't have a good playable experience. And the day one patch is just that's something that's manifested over gaming these last 2 generations that just needs to go and be put to pasture and just go away.
It's weird to say it like this, and it's probably harsh to say it like this, but it feels like developer. I can't blame the developers, but I want to say developer laziness. But I think what it comes down to is the publishers pushing the game out before the developers are ready to push it out. So they got to put that day one patch out because that was the final nail in the coffin they needed to put in it before it got out. But the developers or the publishers are like, no, we got to go now.
Just going gold doesn't mean anything anymore. It's pretty frustrating.
Right. I agree.
And, maybe we won't see that improve in the future unless people bring it up. And, you see these reviews for games, and these reviewers are reviewing the games without the day one patch. So
it skews the information.
Are you getting an experience that is representative of what the reviewers told you? Then at that point, it's frustrating. I don't like it.
Yeah,
and I hope it stops.
Well, who knows? It's again, I think it's a publisher developer issue, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Well, at any rate, the gaming market is gargantuan compared to movies nowadays. Nearly 4 times the revenue, or 10 times to 11 times the revenue if you count it on a whole, 54.1 billion. So this is an article from Kotaku. Gaming just isn't about you. Consoles are thrashed by casual games. So the hardcore gamers take up 26, almost 27% of the market now.
Okay.
Down drastically from when we were kids. So it was pretty much all hardcore gaming, right? If you wanted a game, you had to sit in front of the TV. Nowadays, with the phones and everything else like that, and the way our lives are so much busier than they used to be, casual gaming is huge. Everything you can download on your phone, just play for a few minutes and go. All that is just crazy and takes up 69% of the gaming market right now. The rest of the gaming market after that is taken up by esports, and that's about it. I think it's really important to put into context that the hardcore gaming traditional audience is still a pretty big slice. It's not, they still need to cater to us. I'll use us as because I'm a hardcore gamer. But the money is in the casual. And so when you see these companies do all these free-to-play mobile games and with the microtransactions and all that stuff, they're just chasing the money, and it's kind of depressing. That all being said, it's way bigger than movies now. Gaming is the biggest entertainment medium in the world. And I think over the next several years, this article is suggesting that casual gaming is going to get even more important. I hope that's not the case. I hope the hardcore gaming audience grows faster than the casual. But as the average age of the gamer continues to creep up, because I'm older now, but I still game as if I was 23. As much as I can anyway. You're going to get people who are dads and moms and all that stuff, just so busy with life, maybe all they can do is put in 30 minutes on their phone 5 times during the day while they're taking care of their kids, working, and all those other things. I think that mobile gaming is here to stay. The microtransaction model, unfortunately, is here to stay for the interim. And I think that overall we should be happy, and hopefully we get some more great games. I guess my whole point is that I really want the hardcore gaming audience to grow again, but I just don't see it happening.
I think this article is silly. And I'll tell you why. I don't think the hardcore gaming group has ever changed. I think what this is that more people are just now playing games. And a lot of them that are just playing games now are casual gamers. But there's just more people. There's more people interacting now. That's all it is. The hardcore gamers haven't gone away. We're still there. But at the same time, these parents with jobs and lives, they also play games with their kids. They also play these casual games on the go. They also, there's also the hardcore gamers like you and I who also play casual games when we're stuck in like a waiting room for a doctor appointment, or like I just today I had an appointment I had to go to, and I sat there in the office playing Pokemon Go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just something to do. I had sitting in a waiting room. The TVs don't work no more. They don't play radio. You're just sitting there. So I might as well just sit there and play on my phone. So I just feel like the article is silly saying that, the gaming's just not about you. It isn't just about you, blah, blah, blah. It just sounds like an antagonistic title to an article trying to tell you that there's more people playing video games now, whether casual or hardcore, than there has ever been. Well, and so much so that it's more popular than movies, streaming, or otherwise.
But let's face it, in this case, Kotaku is writing to a hardcore gaming audience. That's their market.
Right.
Right? Your casual gamer probably isn't reading Kotaku. Your casual gamer is probably reading other important news. They just are gaming because it's something to do. So right. I think the article is targeted okay.
Targeted possibly, but I still feel like the title is antagonistic.
Yeah, well, they're trying to get you to.
Well, I know, and they did, and that's why you're talking about it now, isn't it?
Yes.
So they did their job, but it's still antagonistic.
Well, I also saw this headline. I saw this headline, and I thought I needed to read it.
Okay.
The best PS5 SSD deal, 2 terabytes, finally under $100. So.
That is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
That's a very big deal.
You can get a 2 terabyte PS5 solid-state hard drive with heatsink, which Sony recommends, for under $200 or under $100. I'm sorry. The only problem with it is it's a Silicon Power XS70. I have never heard of this company before. I have no clue how good this product really is. But having said that,
it is possible you could get what you pay for.
Yes. Now, it's gotten 4.5 out of 5 stars on Amazon, but I don't always trust Amazon reviews because...
Yeah, sometimes people put 5-star reviews because the item sucked.
Well, they put 5-star reviews because they're getting paid to.
Well, no, but there's also people that I've read some of those 5-star reviews, and they tell you how terrible the product is. But the reason they give it 5 stars is so that you read the article that they write about how terrible the product is.
Oh, God. Well, at any rate, I think if you're looking for one, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Alternatively, Western Digital has started making SSDs for the Xbox. Now, they're nowhere near as good a deal as what we just discussed, but they're a lot easier to use. And the Xbox 1 terabyte memory card, we'll call it, I think that's what they actually call it, is down to $150 because now there's competition. And the 500 gigabyte one is at $80. Are they good deals? Not compared to this especially. But you know what? You can't do much better on the Xbox, and it should be enough to get you more storage and games. It's just unfortunate. I hope the prices drop on those rather soon again.
Right. Well, in the meantime, if you can't do any of those, you can always just delete the game but keep your saves. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's all a convenience issue, right?
Yes, absolutely. But still, good.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah, what else you got?
The last thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that Starfield is 30 FPS. Here we are with another 30 FPS article.
Which you were just talking about Final Fantasy 16 earlier, about being 30 FPS, and it was fine, so...
I know. Maybe I should have brought this up then.
Yeah.
I apologize for that. But in this case, I think 30 FPS makes a lot of sense, especially if you've listened to Digital Foundry. This game is very, very CPU intensive because of object permanence.
That's a lot of sandwiches.
Yeah, it's a lot of sandwiches.
We're watching a Kotaku article. They got a little clip of somebody just dumping a bunch of sandwiches, and I mean a bunch of sandwiches on a table.
And because of object permanence, it keeps track of all those. When you go and explore your planets and come back here, your sandwiches will still be set up like this.
Well, then that perfectly explains why it's going to be 30 FPS.
Yes, because the CPU, it's a CPU limited game, not GPU limited.
So then people should not be complaining.
But
they're going to anyways.
Very much the 30 FPS cap is going to be in this generation. If it's going to be there at all, it's going to be because of the CPU, not the GPU. Right. On the GPU side, you can lower graphical settings, you can lower resolution, things like that, to get to 60 FPS. But when you're talking high intensive compute that hits the CPU hard, this is the result. It doesn't matter how much you tweak the graphics settings for Starfield. You might be able to eke out a few more FPS because there's not as many draw calls from the CPU, right. But you're not going to see very much, if at all, a difference.
Well, here's the thing I think people should keep in mind, too. For people who might actually get upset about the FPS, if it's because of the object permanence of the game and how big this game is, that is really impressive. It's going to remember your sandwiches, for example. It's going to remember them. And it's still going to be 30 FPS? Man, if we had a game like this back when they started doing 3D games, it would have been like 1 FPS at most.
Then again, as companies better utilize the CPU this generation, I think we'll start to see better performance out of it.
Right. It's just a matter of time.
At the end of the day, the Jaguar cores in the PS4 and the Xbox One, incredibly weak. They were weak when that system launched in 2013. And what they got out of those CPUs over the generation, absolutely incredible, to be honest with you.
Right. And that's the big thing to keep in mind, too, is that most consoles don't get their best looking games, their best running games, till the end of their lifetime.
You know, we're technically in the middle of the generation. If you look at the old school 5-year cycle, I think the 5-year cycle is done.
Yeah, it's very outdated.
This one's going to be 7 or 8, but you know, I think there's plenty of time left for them to squeeze out more out of those CPU clusters.
It's going to get crazy.
Maybe Starfield in the future could have a 40 FPS mode on a 120 hertz display, and you'll get better response and things like that. That would be cool.
I mean, and let's put it this way: it's a Bethesda game, so Starfield's going to come out again about at least 10 more times.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So when it does, there'll be better versions.
Well, then again, when they brought out Skyrim on everything, they were an independent studio. How is Microsoft going to put that on all their? Do they want to put it on all their competitors?
I didn't say they put them out on their competitors. I just said they keep putting it out.
Oh, I guess
it's gonna be like, instead of like FIFA 2015, it's gonna be like Starfield 2025, Starfield 2026, Starfield 2027.
Gosh,
same game, just different graphics.
The sequel has already been put into play. It's Galaxy Field.
Well, no, that's the thing though. They're not going to be sequels. It's just going to be the same game. The exact same game every year released.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I think we're going to make a light news day today because honestly, I spent about a good 10-15 minutes just before we started recording just to make sure we had some good episodes or good topics to talk about, and I really couldn't find much. It's kind of like everyone wants to talk about movies and comic books and not video games. It's kind of frustrating.
Just in addition to some of the stuff we had already said we were going to talk about amongst ourselves. I mean,
right.
Just take a quick look and read some articles.
So kind of a slow news week, but
yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably get out of here soon. Let's go back to that question though, just as a reminder for anybody who kind of missed it before. How do you feel, or how do you approach media, social media, trailers, things like that? How do you for a game you're in?
Yeah, just media in general. Do you avoid it before the game comes out?
If you're interested in the game, do you avoid what media talks about it? Something like that. Yeah. Leave your comments down below. We do read them, and sometimes we respond because busy.
Well, I mean, I've been checking when an episode drops. I check with periodically within the first 24 hours. But a lot of the comments that we have gotten have come days later, so I'll keep a closer look on those.
Yeah, we're trying to be a little more vigilant when we can. So, But we're trying, we're growing, and if you really want to help us grow, go out there and tell like 25 people. Each one of you, go out and tell 25 people to just watch us and maybe subscribe. So it's good advertising, right?
Hey. Begging seems to work sometimes.
Please! Well, with that, we're going to get out of here. You guys have yourselves a fantastic day. Have yourselves a fantastic week. Enjoy all your games. And we'll see you in the next one.
Take care.
Later.